Hello class and good day. So in this lecture video, we'll be discussing the entire topic number 3, which is using statistics to summarize data sets. Okay, so diri na ta mag-start o explain o more on mathematical details that is statistical na ang ato ang approach. Okay, so in this chapter, this will be what you would be expecting. That is to compute and interpret the mean, median, and mode for a set of data, compute the range, variance, and standard deviation, and know what these values mean, compute and explain the coefficient of variation, use empirical measures to describe the shape of data sets, and measure center of location, other measures of location, measures of variation, and so on and so forth. Okay? So, muna siya ang ato ang chapter goals. That is, uh, by the end of this chapter, you should learn more on statistics in describing your data. And these are the chapter topics, no? That is, I will be explaining how to get the mean, median, and mode, and to measure other ways in finding uh, measure of location, and then to get the measure of variation. Okay, so basically there are a lot of a way in describing data numerically. So we have the center and location that is kani siya nga branch. This type of measurement or in describing your data, typically when you say you want to describe your data, 'di ba? ah, ang atong pasabot is mura siya maka-summarize sa tibuok dataset nimo wherein makita ka og something like overall na result, 'di ba, sa imong data nga nakalap. So, mo ni siya ang different ways in describing that. So, una ay center and location. So, kaning center and location, that is a finding uh, an effective way, no, nga ma-describe nimo imong data. So, through mean, so kanang averaging, or median, that is the middle data set, the mode, kung kanang mode, kung aha daghan na siya, aha daghag frequency, and then the weighted mean. So kanin siya, I'll be explaining how to get this muna sa atong una nga murag topic nga mga topics na ako ang i-introduce. Next is other measure of location. This includes percentiles and quartiles. So kaning percentiles is gamit ni siya when you want to find something kung the murag ranking on something, like for example 70% of uh, percentile is kanang is red ang color sa buhok or something like that. So ingana siya, no, and then the quartile is I'll be explaining this, but basically quartile just uses this for um, quartile uses this divisions, no? Iyahang i ibahin-bahin ang data into four intervals, tapos i-compare din niya na sa isa-isa. So, muna siya. And then the variation, that is unsa ka unsay difference, no, unsa ka layua ang imuhang mga dataset from each other, unsa sila kaduula, unsa sila ka related, no, unsa sila ka murag kanang effective, no, nga data. So ana na siya, there are different ways natay range, interquartile range, variance, standard deviation, and coefficient of variation. So kani sila tanan I'll be explaining for the entire topic. So medyo taas-taas ning topic, di siya ingon nga taas kayo, but medyo dagan-dagan na tag solve ani. Okay? But ay pagkabala ka na may mga formula. Okay. So first, let us discuss the center and location. So naatay upat, the mean, median, mode, and weighted mean. Okay? Sa mean, muna yung pinaka known. Mean is just another word for average. So, natay duha ka type, no? The sample mean and the population mean. So, I've already explained the difference between the sample and the population on the previous lecture videos on the previous topics, no? When we want example, it's just taken from your population. But when you want a population basically means your entire data set, the uh, entire tanan jud na gikuan tanan, no exception. Like for example, your population is all students in CSU. So muna na yung population, tanan students sa CSU. When you say sample, it is just mingon tag just 100 students from CSU. So gikuha siya from population ang katong sample. So I've already explained that on the previous topic. So kani siya, the reason kanang lahi ning population o sample mean is para um kanang consistent ang ato ang terms, no? Consistent atong mga symbols. That is, kung tanawon pa lang ninyo ang formula o ang inyong mga variables gigamit, like kung sa mean, kung sa sample mean, it is just an x, but in the population mean, you'll be using the mu. So, kani siya, tanawon pa lang ninyo ang formula, tanawon pa lang ninyo ang mga symbols na gigamit, makabalo na mo sa dataset na aka ni siya sample, aka ni siya is population. So in that case, muna siya ang formula to get the mean. And then we have here the median. Median is just the center, no, ang tunga sa ato ang mga dataset. So here in the example, we have around 9 dataset. So ang sa tunga sa 9 is 5, di ba? So sa to pa ang ikalima, muna siya ang ato ang median. Ang mode is katong daghag frequency. Katong pinakadaghag frequency, muna to siya ang ato ang mode. Okay? So, and then we have the weighted mean. The weighted mean is mura gyapon ni siya average, mura gyapon ni siya mean, but nanay frequency nga nag-involve. That is, each of your data set is multiplied na sa kung kapila sila ni appear, no? Or ilahang related na frequency. Okay. So, mean is a numerical measure of center of the set of quantitative measures computed by dividing the sum of the values by the number of values in the data. So, nga na siya, no? So, kung pila ka ba katong data, i-add lang nato tanan, tapos i-divide into nato sa kung pila to nga data tanan. So, if you have 10 data, so i-add nimo tong 10 ka buok ka data divided by 10, no? So, again, take note na lahi ang symbol for sample, lahi ang symbol for population, but basically the same ra sila og formula. So, when you're using sample in your data set, you must when you're using sample or your data set is a sample, make sure nga ang inyong variable na gigamit are small letter x and small letter n. Okay? N represents the number of the sample size. So if your sample size is from is a sample, then it should be uh, a small letter n, and your average is a small letter x with a bar. So ang uban x ra wala na bar. So depende na but basically mga lowercase. When it comes to population mean, the population size is represented as a big letter N or an uppercase N, and the population mean is represented as a mu. Okay? Okay. Now, the most common measure of central tendency is the mean. So, muna siya ang pinaka-common. Mean is equal to the sum divided by the number of values. However, the problem with the mean is that it is affected by extreme values or di ka nang ginatawag na to nga outliers. So, kaning outliers, they are a part of the data set that is somewhat layo ra kay sila sa kadaghanan sa inyong data set, diba? Like for example, Like for example, nang wa mo og data nga kanang data sa tanan mobile apps, no, sa kapila gi-download tanan mobile app sa Play Store. Tapos na isa ka mobile app dadto nga halos billion ang iyahang downloads. So kato siya ma-outlier yun to siya kay medyo layo to siya sa uban, no, nga ubang data. So in that case, ang mean sa inyong entire data maapektuhan ato niya since dako man siya og difference from the rest. So here in the example makita nato, no, in this one nga ang ato ang mean here kay pare-pareha man atong data set, medyo nag-cluster man sila, cluster meaning duol-duol ra sila. So ang ilahang mean is 3. Okay. So, muna ito na-compute. In here, ang ato ang dataset, naatay isa ka outlier nga niabot siya og 10. No? Layo ra kay siya sa karamihan. Layo ra siya sa katong sa uban. Siya, naglahi siya. So, in that case, kay layo man siya, of course, maapektuhan ang atong mean, ana, no? Kay dako man siya value. So, in this case, ni forward ang atong mean equals into 4. Okay? So, kaning in this kind of problem man good, since naman tayo outlier, though isa ra siya kabuok, dako siya affect sa ato ang mean. So, in this case, dili siya matawag nga effective nga pagka-represent sa mean ang atong entire data. Okay? Kay though isa duha ra nga atong outlier, dako naman siya effect. Okay, so ingana ang problem ni mean. Though it's not really a big problem kay medyo gamit maghapon ni si mean sa karon nga mga application, but to make sure nga dili lang gyud nga nakadako iyang error, no, mangita mo pamaagi nga wala kayo outlier sa inyong dataset. Okay. So this is an example. So United Airlines, to stay competitive daw, United Airlines headquarters in Chicago must update its airplane fleet. Suppose suppose United selects its plane from list of 17 possible planes, including such models as the Boeing 747-100, Airbus 300B4, and the DC-910. At a recent meeting, the chief operating officer asked a member of his staff to determine the mean fuel consumption rate per hour of operation for the population of 17 planes. Okay, so ang problem is that from the 17 planes, ilang kwaon ang kaning fuel consumption, and then pangitaon nila ang average ato. So here are the data gathered, no, sa ilahang researcher, sa ilang statistician. So mo ni na-gathered nila nga data. Now ilang gipangitaan, ilang gigamitan og formula atong mean. So you can solve this yourself, but basically ato lang ni silang ipang-add, tapos i-divide nato sa number of data since we have 17. So this is now the average. So the average for the 17 planes is 1,332.9 gallons of fuel. Okay? Okay. So gallons of fuel per hour. Okay. So muna siya. Okay, so this is computing the sample mean. So this one is an example of a population mean. So when you say population mean, mo naman jud ni tanan ang gikinahanglan, no, sa ato ang data. Wala man siya nag-ingon na tanan airplane sa tanang airlines, no. Ang giingon sa problem is 17 planes ra man iyang needed. So basically mo na gina iyang population. 17 ka planes. So mo ni siya ang entire population sa ato ang data set. So that is why we use the symbol mu for representing the mean. Okay, this one is an example of using a sample mean. So, management salaries, Dominic and Association is a management search firm that locates qualified management talent for companies looking to fill a position. They have selected a sample of 7 recent placements. So here is the keyword. They have selected a sample. So sample is the keyword to this problem based, meaning you're gonna be using a sample mean. So, 7 recent placement of recent placements and recorded the starting salaries. The following steps are used. So, una, nagkuha sila example sa katong 7 ka recent na placements, no, sa katong ilang nakuha nga mga tao, itong pila ang sweldo ato nila, no, ilang gikuhaan to. Tapos pinaka-recent meaning katong mga recent sample lang siya. Kung mingon siya diri tanan nilang ano, so kato gid tanan nilang gi-recruit na bali nga worker mo gid to tanan ang kuhaan nila og ah, salary, no, kuha nilang data. But sample naman nilang needed, so nanguha ra sila katong pinaka-recent. So this is the data muna ilang mga salary gikuha nila og mean gigamitan nila itong formula that I have given you, I have presented kanina. So muna ni siya karon ng ato ang mean. Sample mean. So basically sa tanan nila na-recruit, no? So this is a sample meaning sample also represents the population. So in this case, though sample ni siya nga average, this is the average for the mean for the sample data, no? It roughly describes your population as well. So basically kani siya, though this is again a sample, muna gini siya ang murag estimate balay sa tinuod jud nga population na data. Okay. Now, let's assume na naisa ato nga nay 1 million ang iyang salary, no? Lahi siya, yung pagka-graduate ni cum laude siya, tapos top notcher. So, pag abot niya sa trabaho, dako kayog offer ang gihatag sa iyang sweldo. So, in this case, niabot og 1 million ang iyang salary. So, as you can see, dako siya og difference sa katong kaganina. Ang average is 170 ra. In this case, ang average na himo nag 268. So, okay. So, as you can see na, siya 1 million no outlier, dako kayang sweldo. So, dako kayong changes sa iyahang mean, no? So, with only one value in the sample change, the mean is now substantially higher than before. Because the mean is affected by extreme value, it may be misleading measure of data center. In this case, the mean is larger than all but one of the starting salaries. Okay? So, ang nahitabuan ni is that ang ato na inong mean mas dako na noon siya halos sa tanan, no? Tanan data diri no? Except sa isa. So, 'di ba? 144, 98, 204, tapos 177, 155, and then 100. Mas dako pa si mean kaysa sa ila tanan. Tungod lang kaysa sa isa ka value. So, dili siya nato ma effective way, no, to measure the data center, that is to katong sa murag iyahang average. Okay. Now let's proceed to the median. Okay, so the median is a center value that divides a data array into two halves. So we use ano siya, uh, mu to denote the population median. Na siya kaning murag bar. Tapos curly bar. So curly bar mu, and then uh, the sample median is represented with a big letter M with a subscript D. In this book mo na siya ang iyahang notation. But note na lahi na siya sa kada libro ha, or lahi ni siya kada um, depende sa author. So, in that case, pero usually pare-pareha rin kini sila. So, depende lang, lahi lang tingali, like, ani siya, curly brace yung gamit niya, ani siya, lahi yung gamit. Okay? So, this is the median. Median represents sa katong tunga-tunga jud, no? Duwa na computation. Wala na siya computation. Kung nakay set of data set, nakay data sets, imo lang siyang i-arrange or imo lang siyang i-ascending order. Tapos katong nasa tunga, muna to siya ang median. So that is the median.